Hello, Mr. Miskew. I'm here with my program called Calculator, because that's what it is. It's at least what it started off to be. So, first off, here we just have a simple calculator that calculates the area and perimeter of objects. So, here we can put in like the 5, width of 2, and it gives us the area and the perimeter. And we can do this with decimals, whatever. Run it, and it rounds off a bit. Then you can do the same for triangle, you can see the area, and then the circle, you can see the area as well. I then also added a random number generator, so lower limit 3, higher limit 100, and we can create 50 of these, then run it, and it'll give you the numbers. Then you can sort that with a selection sort that I made. And, you can see that we have 2 on 100s and, like, only 192. Anyway. And I made a shapes thing, where it actually draws the shape that you put in. So, length 23, width 40, run it, and it'll give you width 40, length 23, rectangle. And you can do the same for ellipses. And you can do the same for triangle. I also made a drawing program, so, yeah, you can choose all your different colors, and you can also input a custom color with a hex number, and you can also change the size all the way up to 4. 4 is the limit, though. Then, I also made a Flappy Bird. Sorry, I'm rushing through this, it's just, only have 10 minutes. Then, as you can see, when you die, it bounces you back, or if you die in the middle of them, it bounces you down. Yeah. And then, as you can see, I have my score up here, and then a high score that's saved to the outer file, so that the high score keeps whenever you run the program. I also made a snake. I'm just going to use the shortcut key, Q, to add length, to show you that it adds 3 length each time you use it. And if you run into yourself, you die, of course. And that's really all there is to that, and as well as there's a high score to this, too. And I got 1011 by using my cheat code. Yeah. I also added a date and time at the very top of the program. So it's Monday, 6th February, 9:21 p.m. And yes, this is a bit last minute, as you can see. But yes. So, if you saw in the program, and I'll show you again right now, there are all these different tabs up here that you can switch between. That is because I made a notebook, what's called a notebook. It's ttk.notebook, and then you put it in the root. Yeah, it's super easy to add pages to it. You just do page 1 equals tk.frame, and then you tell it to put it in the notebook. So you could actually make notebooks within notebooks. So you could just do notebook 2 equals tk.notebook, and then put it in notebook. Or put it in page 1 or whatever. It's really quite cool. And then, so, now we've got page 1. I'm just giving them colors, which is this gray background here. And I gave them the names that you can see. Now I packed the notebook and gave the root a size, the GUI a size, and I made it topmost, just mainly for this presentation, so I can be clicking in here without it going away. And it just keeps it on the top. And then, here's Update GUI, which just updates the title. It gives you, using something called STRF time, which gives you the date, the hour, the time, And then root dot after 1000 milliseconds or 1 second, it calls itself again, so it updates. And then it calls, and then I just called it once to get it going. So that's creating the GUI. Now, in functions are just some functions that I used throughout the program, like the selection sort. Bubble sort I left in here because I made it, but I no longer used anywhere in the program. I just thought it was cool to leave it in there. Okay, page 1, I'm not going to go through it, it's just a lot of placing of entries and labels. Similar thing with page 2 and page 3. Well, page 3, I'll show you one thing in page 3. This is something I was kind of proud of at the time when I made it. It is the shrinking, the scaling of the objects. So if you put in a huge number, it needs to scale it down by just multiplying it by 0.999. And then when it's too big, it just multiplies it by when it's really small, it multiplies it by 0.001. So that's all that is. And then on page 4 is my drawing program, and that's quite cool. These defs are just called by the buttons, as you can see in here. The defs are just called by these, and they just change the color to that. And then I made the canvas, which is this white space here. Configured it to be white and placed it. Then there's a callback, which is called by a binding, which we can see if I scroll down enough. Drawing c.bind b1 motion. So all this does is it grabs the sides that you put in here, and then if you don't put in the sides, it just puts as 1. And it puts x as the current x position and y as the current y position. And then it just draws a line with the old x and old y and x and y. Then this is how I got the size to work, by just drawing lines in the range of size. Then I just called red to make default color is red if you don't select a color, to avoid getting errors. And then this is just making of all the buttons and entries. Okay, so page 5. This is the first game I made, Flappy, and I made it with classes. So you can see here, bird equals bird and pipe equal pipes. That's just calling these classes here. And I also have this def draw g, and that just calls bird.update and pipe.update every 17 milliseconds, or that's around 60 FPS. Okay, so in bird, we have an init function, which just tells us the height, self.y, self.x for the starting of bird. And then the lift is how much it goes up, what the velocity becomes when you click W. Self.gravity is the gravity that pulls it down over time. Self.velocity is its starting velocity, so when you start the game, it just has a little hop to give you time to begin. Self.timer, it's just a timer it's just a timer that gets updated. Okay, and then we have self.bird equals gamec.createOval. That just makes the bird. I'm going to start rushing through this a bit now because I'm running out of time. Root.bind just binds W to fly, which makes the lift, the velocity equal the lift. Okay, so here we go. Here's update, which is called every 17 milliseconds. It just has the velocity plus equals self-gravity, and then self.y plus equals self.velocity. And then it calls self.show, so that gets called every 17 milliseconds, and that just redraws the bird, is all that does. I just thought I'd make a different function for it, because, neatness, I guess. And then, if self.y is more than self.height, which is the ground, it just, sets y as height, so it doesn't go any lower, and it makes the velocity negative itself, and divide by 2, so it's like it bounces. And similar thing for the top of the screen, so if it's bigger than the top, it just keeps it at the top and sets velocity to 0. Okay, and then it just I already showed you show, I already showed you fly, and that's it for that. Now class pipes, that's a big one. So the gap defined here is the gap between the two pipes. Move speed is the movement of the speed of the pipes. This is the location of the gap. Then this is just creation of them, a lot of repetitive stuff in here. But then, so I'm going to skip down to the collision. It detects collision, and so it just says if the bird is, the same or within the pipes, it then reduces the move speed, or makes the move speed negative, so it bounces back. It unbinds W, and it sets lost to true. And then brings up a high scores button. And then, when you click the high score button, it brings you to a high score page. And all that info is here where it writes out the high score to a different file. I don't have really time to go through all this. And then, so that's really it for there. This is honestly pretty similar. Why is that there? Snake is pretty similar. It's a very similar concept. One thing that's really different is is within the class Snake. I think it's within update. Nope, sorry, it's within show. And the way I got the snake to move is each piece is a different object, right? Each piece is this tail. So I move the front piece to the back of the list, and then delete it from the front. So now it's just moved to the back, and then I move the new front on the piece on the list to the front of the snake. It's a little bit complicated. It took me a while to figure that out, and I was very proud when I did. So that's a piece that I was very proud of. The rest is very basic, just bindings, collision, not much interesting. Another high score page. So that's my program. I had a lot of fun making it, and I'm kind of sad to hand it in now, but I think it's ready. So thank you.